Welcome, Ole Dammega, again to White TV.
Thank you so much, Henning.
We had fantastic interviews with you about the murder of Anna Lindh, who was the foreign minister in Sweden, who was brutally killed 2003 by a guy who had voices in his skull, and it was obvious that he was just remote controlled by mind control, and we both suspected Mossad was behind it. I personally am convinced that Anna Lindh was the daughter of Olof Palme, and we made a very good interview with you on the Palme murder last February, because it's always the 28th of February when the date is coming, when he was killed on the streets of Stockholm in 1986. And today you had a special reason to focus on something which you have on your website, which is lightonconspiracies.com. And on that website you can click a special link to serial killers, besides your fantastic book, Stats Coup in Slow Motion. Tell us a little bit more today, what is hiding behind those serial killers, and what have you found that you want to tell us about?
Well, thank you, first of all, Henning, to have me on this show again. I just want to give a little background. It's like I've spent some 30 years looking into major conspiracies like the JFK assassination, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, the Olof Palme assassination, 9/11, Oklahoma City, and many of these false flag operations, like all these mass shootings and so on that is going on at the moment. And one of the things that I found during all of these years is that, according to my research, it's the same power elite, the same small group of people that are behind so many of these atrocities that has been committed against the global community.
Yeah.
Labeled terror acts, but I tell you, after all of these years, I don't know if there is such a thing as a real terrorist, because every single time I look into whatever it is, the more I look into it, the trails just go straight back to the same group. And yeah. I found, to my astonishment, that they even used the same team of assassins for decades.
Yeah.
Meaning that people that were part of the Olof Palme assassination, the JFK assassination, was part of the killing of Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, John Lennon, Che Guevara, Salvador Allende, Orlando Lettier, Carlos Smith, Robert Smith in South Africa, and Olof Palme, and many others.
And John.
Very active.
The little Kennedy, John also.
Yeah, John as well, Jr.
Hmm.
And a lot of this information I put together in my book, Coup d'etat in Slow Motion, which focuses on the Palme assassination, where it's almost 1,000 pages where I go into great details connecting all these different trails that are said to be separate, like the Bofors Härvan, the police spåret, the South African trail, and so on. I would claim that they are not separate, but they're actually joined together. They work together. They're part of different aspects of the same conspiracy.
Cabal, yes.
And one of the things that, like I say, I've tracked down this team of assassins. They started under the name of Operation 40 in the early 1960s, and the members have then developed and continued for decades, and the group has changed their names they changed the name from different operations, different attacks and so on. They've used a lot of different code names and so on, and also with the high technology that has been developed, the methods has changed, but it's the same core team that has been used. And about a year and a half ago, I decided I had written this book, Coup d'etat in slow motion, and this search for the truth in Sweden led me to a point, because I was a Mr. Nobody, a totally normal person who was just almost obsessed trying to find out what had happened in Sweden, because there was this massive secret surrounding this murder that was being blamed on a patsy, a lone crazy guy in Sweden by the name of Christer Pettersson.
The Palme murder, yes.
The more I looked into it, I found that, my God, that this is some conspiracy. The deeper you dig into it, it just goes onto a level that is mind-blowing, with international connections all over the place. And it came to a point where I was part of this group called Privatspanarna in Sweden, and it came to a point where I had a visit at home when I was not there. Somebody broke into my apartment and just rearranged a lot of things in there, which is standard procedure when they try to scare you off. They open your door, they go in, they change the furniture, they put things upside down, then go out, lock the door, everything clean and polished, so that when you come home, I mean, you can't call the police saying somebody moved my chair and my bed. It's just ridiculous. But they're doing it to say that we can see you, we know what you're up, so you better back off or something that will happen. And I understood the message because I'd heard of several other people where it happened, the same type of thing. And then two of my friends were died in one in a so-called accident, who got his skull smashed in the subway, and another one got cancer, very, very fast-growing cancer that came after he had a medical examination, and suddenly, boom, he had cancer, and he died very shortly after, which is could be cancer, but one high police officer by the name of Gösta Söderström, who was also the first police officer on site after the killing of Olof Palme, he labeled both of these deaths as murders.
Yes, you can induce it with scalar waves. You can induce every kind of cancer and heart attacks, whatever you want, and even choking.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of strange deaths surrounding the Palme assassination as well. Anyway, it came to a point when these two people close to me died. I got scared, and so I decided to leave Sweden. I moved to Spain, and this is where I finished the book Coup d'etat. And then it around just collecting dust. I didn't know what to do with it, because I tried to approach different publishers and nobody dared to touch it. I went again international. I tried the different publishers, but the people that I approached, they all backed off. So about 18 months ago, I decided to just get it out there. So I pushed it all over the internet as soon as possible. I set up like a network of people that I knew, and I said, I'm going to send you this book, so please just spread it to everyone you know and just get it out there, download it and save it in safe places so that it's out there.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it felt incredibly good, because to get the pressure off my shoulders, because in this book there's a lot of explosive information, like
really,
like people have named it a bomb of truth. And anyway, so it was out there. But what happened after that was that this started like a tidal wave of interest on an international level, and I've been doing radio interviews like 2, 3, 4, 5 a week since I don't know when. So many from countries all over the globe, except from Sweden, of all countries. And I mean, this is, it's unbelievable when you think of it. It's unreal. I've even sent the book. It's very, very detailed. It's with names, photos, letters, documents, top secret, anything. It's in there. There's so much. The conclusion might be that you come up with a different conclusion than I do, but the basic material, it's all there collected in one book, here you go.
Yeah.
I've sent it to many of the major newspapers in Sweden. I've heard from no one except from you, Henning.
Yeah.
Zero. I talk to people in the States, they're on the phone all the time. Boom, 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 boom. Sweden, zero. So I'm just talking to the Swedish journalists. I could say shame on you. Maybe I should. But I just think if you have any pride in your list, please contact me. I'll be most happy to send you the book for free. I'll assist you in any way I can when it comes to information. Whatever it is, please contact me. Step out of this shameful place where you are now. Because, I mean, come on. It's almost, I don't know how many years it is. Almost, is it 30 years soon? And still, you're talking about Christer Pettersson. I mean, come on, for the love of God. It's enough with all this covering up and going around in circles. The truth is there. People who were involved in this assassination is still around. They're still alive. They're still, some of them in very high places, high positions, still out there, and we let them get away with it.
Yeah.
And people that were behind the assassination are still in government in Sweden and other countries, controlling your life. This is why these things are important, because it was not just an accidental shooting or that Christer Pettersson by mistake thought that Olof Palme was his drug dealer because he had the same fur hat on. Come on. Yeah. We're talking about a coup d'etat in slow motion. In slow motion, so that you would not discover the power elite that took over your country and is still there to this very day.
Yeah, so stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever. And there's so much information available, so you need to be very asleep and determined to stay asleep if you cannot wake up to the fact of what is going on.
Yes.
So once again, I'm here. Whatever I can do, please contact me. Anyway, this tidal wave of interest also got me into a position where I was suddenly dealing with incredible people on an international level, experts in many of these areas, very brave, very honest, very courageous people. I mean, I felt very honored to be in their presence and so on. And one of these people is a man by the name of Professor Jim Fetzer. He is one of the world-leading experts on the JFK assassination. He's a former Marine. He's a university professor. I think he's a doctor as well in all different kind of areas.
In the United States.
He's a man that has devoted a major part of his life putting himself on the line to reveal what is going on.
Yeah.
Well, he and I I was invited to his radio show, The Real Deal, where, without being big-headed, he looked upon me as a world-leading expert on the JFK assassination. I'm just saying that just to show that I'm not full of bullshit.
Yeah.
I try to stand for what is true. I try to only talk about things I know. If I don't know it, I will say right away, I have absolutely no idea. So when I say something, I try to put weight behind my words. And anyway, this relationship with him came to a point where he started trusting me. And one day he phoned me up, I've got some files I would like to send to you. If you could please download them and just keep them in a safe place. I said, please, whatever I can help with, send it on. So he started sending me recorded phone calls with a woman. It's between him and a woman called Haley Otis. Mm-hmm. She's a woman in her late 60s, early 70s, I think. And there's about between 50 and 100 hours of recorded phone calls. And in these phone calls, this woman claims she's the sister of a man called Roland Otis.
Yeah.
And he had two friends. These three were like the Three Musketeers almost, their whole life. he and a man called Clyde Forshaw, and this Clyde's cousin, Walter Tabinski, they grew up in Toronto in Canada. And she claims that Walter Tabinski and Clyde Forshaw, especially Walter Tabinski, was, I would say, almost, I wouldn't call it hired, but almost adopted by the CIA at the age of around 4. He was trained by a former SS officer that had been exported from Nazi Germany through Operation Paperclip.
Do you know that name from the SS officer?
I do not know the name. I do not, but I think I would not be surprised if it was Reinhard Gehlen, because he fits the description.
No. That's impossible, because Reinhard Gehlen was building the secret service in Western Germany, the BND, and he was never an SS man. He was a usual Wehrmacht man. But I thought that he perhaps was in the surrounding of Mengele, the death angel of
like
Auschwitz.
I do not know. I just know from Haley Otis that Walter Tabinski has told her that he was trained by an SS officer.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy you mentioned this about Reinhard Gehlen, so I don't spread out.
That's for sure that he did not do. He had other jobs to do at that time.
Yeah, excellent. So anyway, Walter Tabinski and Clyde Forshaw, they're both. Tabinski is born 1940, I think, and Clyde Forshaw 43, and so they were trained from the age of around 4 or 5 as killers. It sounds incredible, but that was what they did with them.
Horrible.
And they started out. They started training them to kill animals, and then they moved up. They started killing children, with them women, young women, and then they grew up like that. And for decades, since the late 1950s, they have been used as assassins for the CIA, for the mob as well, for the government, both in Canada and the United States. And they have been sent on missions with Clyde. I think it's mostly in the States and Canada. Walter was doing the same, but he was also sent to Central America.
Yeah.
And the genocide that was being done down in El Salvador, Nicaragua. And I know that Roland Otis was sent to Iran. I think that was when they took out Mossadegh and got the Shah in power.
That early, yeah.
But these people have been closely connected to a highly skilled team of assassins called Operation 40 that was created in the late 1950s, early 1960s. This was a group that was approved by President Dwight Eisenhower, and the task was given to his Vice President Richard Nixon to put together a team, like I say, of highly skilled assassins under the supervision of hardened and CIA veterans.
Yeah, Alan Dulles was involved as well, wasn't he?
Sorry, could you say that?
Alan Dulles was involved as well.
I can't hear the name, please.
One of the Dulles brothers, Alan Dulles.
Yeah, Alan Dulles. Alan Dulles was very much involved in this.
Yeah.
He's involved in all of these things.
Yes.
And anyway, so they put together this team of assassins using exiled Cubans mostly, and then with the CIA operatives. And this group has been used in so many of these major assassinations, like JFK, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy, Che Guevara. They were part of taking out Salvador Allende. They were part of killing General Carlos Prats. They were part of hitting Bernardo Leighton in Italy, and also there were some members very closely to this that was also present when Olof Palme was taken out, and many others as well. So anyway, this woman, Haley Otis, she has been trying to reveal what's been going on her whole life. She's been trying to secretly approach FBI the government, the police, and so on, informing them about what was going on, trying to save people, because she grew up seeing people murdered right in front of her.
Yeah.
Because these three people, her brother Roland and Clyde Forshaw and Witte Zabinski, was used on such a regular basis to eliminate people. So she, I think she's seen like 4 or 5 murders right in front of her, like children killed. She's seen children abducted that later turned up murdered and slaughtered. She'd seen young women being kidnapped and then turn up raped and totally mutilated. She'd seen people being shot right in front of her. During her whole life, all people that have been close to her have been taken up by Clyde Forshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Her boyfriends, her friends, and so on, because they have feared that she would, if she got close to anyone, she would start telling about what she knew.
Yeah.
So, and instead of these official sources like the police and so on taking her seriously, taking a signed affidavit, they refused to do that. Instead, what's happened is that she's been ridiculed, she's been terrorized, she's been shot at. They burglarized her house. They took everything, all the evidence she had collected. She was left in the street with only the clothes on her body. She's been. They tried to hit her with cars, and I mean, her story is absolutely incredible. And like I say, Jim Fetzer started sending me these recorded calls, and to start with, I thought this woman must be absolutely mad, because she was talking about, she jumps from many different cases like this. So it's, when you start listening to it, it's a bit confusing to start with. But then the more you listen to her, you see that she's sharp like a knife when it comes to details, dates, places, locations, how it was carried out. She never confuses anything, you know. She never say the wrong details about the same case. She never.
Yeah.
Sometimes her conclusions are I don't agree with them, but the details of things that she has experienced herself, or that Clyde or Witte Zabinski has told her, are just mind blowing. I would say if what she says is true, she could be the witness of this century. I mean, incredible, because she's been in such a central position in so many of these major cases.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking the JFK, where all three of them, Roland, Clyde, and Witte Zabinski, were taking part of the assassination itself. And after spending 30 years of my life looking into these, I knew about these people, but I never heard about their identities, never ever. Mm-hmm. And it was only when Haley came forward with this that it started making sense, and these pieces started falling into place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For instance, like Witte Zabinski, if ever anyone wants to know what he looks like, he's the guy on the photos from Mexico City from 1963, where he goes to the Cuban and Soviet consulate, claiming that he's Lee Harvey Oswald, trying to get a visa.
Uh-huh.
And they're taking photos. The CIA took photos of this person when he left the consulate. You can see him in the JFK movie. They show these photos, and he's in many books as well.
Yes, and he was there under false flag to give false traces for Lee Harvey Oswald.
That was the whole idea, to make it look like Lee Harvey Oswald had been trying to go to Russia, so that they could blame the whole assassination on the communists.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so the more I received of these phone calls, I just felt, my God, this woman is living in such a dangerous situation, because there's twice we have feared that she was murdered. She disappeared for about 3 months once.
Oy.
And Jim Fetzer went out on Veterans Today and exposed some of these calls, and exposed her identity and so on. So a lot of this information was out there already, but I just felt we need to get it out. We need to get this information out there as soon as possible. The sooner the better, and the more the better. Then the safer she will be, the safer myself and Fetzer and other people who have this information, the safer we are, and the bigger the chance that these people will be neutralized, because they have been doing killings like Clyde, if what Haley says is true, about two a week. She claims that he has more than 1,000 people, 1,000 lives on his conscience, and Walter Tabinski the same or more. So we're talking about super serial killers. And this Clyde Forshaw is a bus driver in Toronto. He drives what is called a streetcar there. It's sort of like a tram and buses. And he's using this job. He's a very small guy, and he uses this as a cover for many of these killings.
Yeah, how can you be sure that Haley is not making it up, that it is a trap? Did you got confirmation from other parts that her facts are real?
No, but this is the whole big question. Is what she says true, or is she just full of absolute maloney? Because also she could be there as to sink someone like Jim Fetzer, to totally sink myself, just blow up
exactly
our credibility and so on. So it's taken a lot of consideration for myself and Fetzer to really go through the whole thing and listen and make up our own mind. And I think she's very, very credible. Otherwise, I wouldn't put myself on the line like this as well, because I hope that people understand that by me being part of exposing these identities, by pointing fingers at these people that are sound, that are still active, it puts me in a very, very dangerous position as well. So I don't do this lightly. I do it because I truly believe what she's saying is true. And by getting the info out there, I hope it will lead to something very good, that it will keep Haley safe, because every interview I've exposed these names and identities. I've said that if anything happens to Haley, it will point straight at these people.
Or to you.
Or at me, or Jim Fetzer, because he was threatened the other week. He had a death threat after that. And so I'm just going to say, if anything should happen to me or any of my loved one or anyone close to me, it will just straight to these people, straight to this power elite, saying that what I said was true.
Yeah.
I'm not depressed, my car is fixed, I have absolutely no idea to commit suicide, and I'm totally healthy. So let's just rule that one out. So once again, if anything happens, that will just confirm what I'm saying. What has happened so far is that we came to a point where I just felt we need to get as much as this out in one go as possible, to get the spotlight big time on this, so that's the safest way to go. So I waited until I was on an interview on Red Eyes Creations. I had the same week I had one with an interview with Dr. Kevin Barrett on No Lies Radio, and I also was on a 3-hour special on the Opperman Report together with Jim Fetzer, where we solely focused on this case, and just pumped it out there. I've done it on New Zealand and other places as well, just pumped it out there. And these people have been invited to come in to join the show, to call in and give their version or defend themselves or call us totally crazy. The only thing that has happened is absolute silence. Absolute silence.
And veterans today picked the theme up already in 2012, and they never sued anybody.
No, exactly. But this is the case when you are spot on something. you are either taken out.
Yeah.
If you're low profile, if you have some kind of spotlight on you, your chances are better. Either you're taken out, or stopped, or discredited, or somehow or you're met with total silence.
Yeah.
I mean, look at, for instance, David Icke, what he's been saying about this English royal family, about George Bush Sr. for decades.
Yeah.
Has he been sued?
No.
Has he been met with absolute silence? Yes.
Yes.
Has he been ridiculed? And yes, all of these things. But silence, silence, silence. They do not, that's the thing. So this is quite a sure sign that this is not
a
empty
trap.
facts.
Yes. And if it would have been a trap, they would have used it already.
God, yeah. I would be sued, and Fetzer would be sued from here to the moon.
Yeah.
Because, but so what I'm asking listeners of this interview is, if you can please go, if you want to help keep Haley safe, if you want to help eliminate the threat of these incredible serial killers, I would ask, please go to my website, lightonconspiracies.com. There's one menu where it says what you can do, and I've got different options, what people in a normal life, normal position, how they can be part of healing this world from what is going on at the moment. And one of the top options there is called serial killers, and there's a short description, presentation of this whole thing, and then there's about 60 hours of recorded phone calls. These are YouTube videos I've uploaded. These are the recorded phone calls. I've made them into YouTube videos, so you can download them. So if I could please ask you, download them, save them in a safe place, just spread them out there, so that even if it gets shut down on YouTube, I mean, many of these radio shows and things where these things are exposed are being shut down on a regular basis. I know at least 3 that I've been on have been shut down when we've been talking about these things. So they hit back. Also, my website, I had a very good traffic to my website beginning of March. Had about 8,000 hits the first 3-4 days, and then boom, it went to absolute zero. Even though the website is working, everything is working, but it just came to an absolute flop. So how it's filtered, I don't know. What I know is somebody has been in my PayPal account as well, changed the buttons so that the donation buttons doesn't work, and the links went to the wrong place. And so, but this is part of the so-called game. You push, they hit back.
Yeah.
But I just want that Haley is safe. I want these people to stop doing this horrendous work that they're doing, and that we together can be part of healing this situation. Because Haley says that she feels the only reason she's alive is that the spirits of the dead victims, they just want her to help for their families to get closure, for their families to finally find out what happened to my child, what happened there, who killed them, because people need to know that. The family of the victims need to understand what happened. And this is what she thinks. This is why she puts herself through all of this hell that she's done, and she's still doing. I mean, this is one old lady on her own, sick, standing up against the whole power structure, totally corrupt power structure. She's up against the FBI, the CIA, mass murderers, government officials that are totally corrupt, all of these on her own. And she's not backing down. I mean, my God, the bravery of this woman is just, what can I say? I get goosebumps, and I just want to support her. If I could, I would be in Toronto by her side, helping her to go out and buy groceries. She doesn't even dare to go outside. She was shot at just a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. So it's like, So
Horrible.
if you want to help, please download these things, listen to them. If you want to help, which would be an incredible help, listen through all of them. Help me categorize all these different cases, because she gives dates, names, places, locations where the bodies were hidden and so on. But she's very much, she jumps from case to case, so it gets a bit confusing. But so it needs to get into a structured chronological order on paper, so that it can be given as a signed affidavit to people in power position. I'm talking about honest lawyers or honest judges on an international level with jurisdiction in Canada that can receive these things, so that it can be taken to the next level.
So there is no list with names she dropped?
She has made these lists, yes, but I have not received them, and she doesn't dare. She wants to give a sworn affidavit to some official authority. But the thing is, it's just like with in my case, with the Palme assassination. People say, go to the official investigation. But once you start seeing the structure of these assassinations, you will see as well that the investigation is part of the crime. It's put there as a wall, stopping people from getting to the real truth. The investigation is part of the crime. It's the same with the JFK assassination, as Olof Palme assassination, as many of these other ones. And so you cannot go to the official source. You cannot go to the police, because it's the police that will help take you out.
Yeah, of course. They are controlled by the secret services and the cabal.
I'm not saying all police officers, absolutely not, but key people in the right positions are put there to keep track of people like myself. When they get too close, like my two friends, Ingvar Heime and Fritz Pettersson, they're taken out. When they don't understand the rules of the game and they push forward too brutally or too forcefully, they will be stopped. I will be stopped. You know, it's a scary area to get into. Very scary. I mean, you, Henning, have been threatening in deep, sharp waters as well, around the Estonia and so on. I'm sure.
The ferry boat, which was
that you are aware of that.
Deliberately sunk in the 28th of September 1994 between Estonian capital Tallinn and Stockholm in Sweden. Almost 1,000 people were mass murdered on that ferry boat. But one thought back, if there is some listener who has the time to listen to all the 60 hours, it would be good that somebody is making a list with all the names she's dropping in this telephone conversations, so that we are not dependent on her.
It would be of incredible value, and if they would then forward this information to me, I would help. There's some. I'm in contact with international lawyers on a very high level, and that would be one way to get it there.
And you told also that not only Clyde and Walter, but their children are also involved and trained.
But according to Haley, both of these families are crime families, almost like mob families, and like Clyde's son, Alfred, and Clyde Jr. Both have been involved in several murders. They're also part of bank robberies. Clyde goes under the name of the Volta Bandit or the Geese Bandit, and I think he's become a bit of a hero for some people in Canada, because there's this old guy who goes in and commits bank robberies, and some people think it's really cool, but they have absolutely no idea who they're dealing with.
And he gets away with it. He never was sentenced to prison.
No, but this is the thing that is also important to understand, that these people that have been part of these big assassinations have been given almost like immunity. You know, whatever they are involved in, they will never be sentenced, because if they go down, the risk is that they will start talking.
Yes.
And the people in power do not want anything of this to come out.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about thousands of murders.
Yeah.
Thousands of murders. So it's like, I think one of the reasons why there's this massive cover-up as well is like, because if the family of the victims find out what has been going on and how the government and the authorities have been part of covering up the truth, have been knowing about who's committed it, have been part of doing it and part of covering it up, if the families would sue the state of United States and of Canada, the country would just go bankrupt because the amounts would be incredible,
astronomical. Yes,
monumental. So, but it has to stop. It has to stop. That's the thing.
What happened to the wives of Clyde and Walter?
I don't know about Walter, but I know that as far as I know, Clyde killed one of his wives, the first one. And I mean, it's a very brutal man, and or both of them. And it's like Haley describes him almost like the Antichrist, that he describes himself as the Antichrist.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people where I don't know what they're in contact with, but the divine light, I think, is not a major part of them. And I just want to say I had a conversation the other day. I made an interview with a man called Gene Tatum, and for 25 years he was a deep cover CIA agent.
Yeah.
Black Op assassin. He was a helicopter pilot. The black helicopters doing all of these different raids and attacks, and he was also part of George Bush Sr.'s private team of assassins, a super secret hit team called Pegasus.
Yeah.
And
Chip Tatum.
Chip Tatum. It's CHIP Tatum. You can find him on chiptatum.com. And he was part of many of these assassinations on a global scale. I think at least 17 missions on behalf of George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
And anyway, I spoke to him the other day about people like this, because it's always been a big mystery to me. How can you do things like that? How is it possible for someone to kill in such a brutal, cold way? And he said, when it comes to assassins, because he's been living with them, he was one himself before he turned whistleblower, and he said there are like 3 different types. There's these young, naive ones that still believe in the fight for freedom and democracy. He said that wears up very, very quickly, because very shortly you find out that you're actually brutal enforcers, hired killers for people with no compassion and total greed, no empathy, totally merciless bankers, well, whatever these people are. But he says there are these people, and then there are hired assassins that do it for the money. They know, they have moral values, they have moral school, they struggle with themselves, but they do it for the money. And then you have what he calls the dead eyes, which are like killing machines. There absolutely no one there. There's no empathy, no compassion, nothing. They're just killing machines. And I would suggest that Walter Dubinsky and Clyde belongs to this group. And Chip Tatum said that sometimes he has nightmares, and these nightmares are that he's lying, he wakes up at night and he feels he's awake, but he can feel if it's the evil spirit or the spirit of a dead one of these ones. But he says there's like a face with the dead eyes right on top of him, and he can feel this whatever it is breathing on him. and he says he gets so scared. And I mean, my God, I couldn't imagine a worse nightmare than one of these on top of you and not being able to move. So
one of his victims.
I don't know, but one of these killers, because he has by becoming a whistleblower, he has really become a traitor to these people.
Yeah.
So, and he has worked very closely to George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
He's been under the wings of former CIA Director William Colby, and so he's met all of these people. He's met people in Operation 40 and the whole. He was part of the Iran-Contras flying weapons in and weapons out and drugs into the States, and so on. So he's a key player. Very, very interesting to speak to him.
Yeah, really.
And I asked him, how, when you look into the eyes of George Bush Sr., what do you see? Because for me, he's a total mystery. I mean, he looks very charming and nice.
Yes.
But when I see on his actions, I mean, this man is one of the worst mass murderers, super criminal persons on the earth.
And rapist and child molester and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's no end to it. And he said that this man is pure evil.
Yes,
he said, this man, pure evil. He has absolutely no problem taking out your whole family, kids, chop them up to pieces, whatever, for his means.
Yeah.
So, anyway, for me it was a very... I had problems sleeping after that interview because it was very... Chip Tatum is a very likable man. I really like him. I really respect him for his courage to
He's a hero, yeah.
He's a hero in one way. At the same time, he was for 25 years a hired assassin. He's been part of killing a lot of people in a very, I mean, we're talking sniper type of killings, very cowardly, shooting down airplanes, you name it, he's been part of it. So it's very strange to meet someone like that on a close distance and get to know him. I mean, I really like him, and at the same time, he's a mass murderer in one way, and so your whole moral values just goes. But it just shows once again, I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just here to be part of stopping it. It's time to stop this madness.
We should perhaps make an interview about him also, because I'm very interested in him. He is a key witness in the Palmer murder. But today our topic was the serial killers, Clyde Fortschritt and Walter Tobinski, and to put out a warning to the world and to help save Haley Otis and your life and Jim Fetzer's life, because you pinpoint at those guys.
Thank you, I appreciate it, especially on my own part. But I say thank you so much. Anyone that wants to help, please download these videos, spread them, and if you want to help, please, the chronological order of all of these cases, that would be an immense help. Also, if you would like to support me, I'm extremely grateful for financial help in form of donation, or you buy the book, or become a member, or sign up for my newsletter. Anything like that is extremely helpful, because I've got a family to feed, and I think every single one of us who are standing up for these things are not well off financially. We're struggling, all of us. So it's extremely appreciated. I would just like, if I can finish, I'm not a religious person, but I would very much like to finish with a prayer that my yoga teacher, Nelini Chalaram, finishes with. That's Raja Yoga for the mind, not for the body. Stiff like a log. Anyway, it goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt us, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Victory to that light. And that is what I truly believe in.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you very much, Ole, for your courage that you put out this information and for the time you took to collect it. It's always very thrilling, interesting to listen to you. And I hope your economical situation will improve, mine will improve. If it would have been better, I would have supported you as well, of course.
Thank you. I know you're in a similar situation.
Yes, but it's not, yeah. And I'm very interested in Chip Tatum. Did you met in person with him?
No, I met him over the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be on Red Eyes Creations with him in just a few days.
Very good, yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Olle.
And I just want to say once again to the Swedish journalist, no more excuses. If I can help in any way, I'll send you the book. There's about 1,000 pages. You don't have to do a lot of research. A lot of it is already there. No more excuses. No more reasons to go around in a loop saying, was it Christopher's son? Was it not? Was it Christopher's son? Was it not? The real truth is available. So please contact me. Do your job. And let's get it out there.
Yes. Thank you very much, Olle Dammega.
You're most welcome, Henning.